Okay, good afternoon, guys. Okay, yes, it's actually afternoon. I hope you are well and that you had a lovely afternoon yesterday and that you're keeping warm. It is very cold here where I live. So, guys, okay, so you'll see that your chat is public, that everybody can see your chat. This is a courtesy. It's not a it's a it's not something we need to do, but we're giving you the opportunity. Okay, so please focus on the lesson and focus on what I'm doing here. Okay, um, if you don't do that, we are going to put the chats in private and we're going to do that permanently. Okay, so let's just unmute you here if you want to ask me a question.
Afternoon, ma'am.
Hello.
How are you, ma'am?
I'm fine, thanks. And you?
No, ma'am, I just wanted to say afternoon to you and the
Oh,
class.
okay, that's fine, thank you.
Hello?
Hello?
Ma'am, is
Yes.
this correct that verbs are doing words?
Yes, it is the doing words. That is what verbs are. Okay, so guys, today we're going to do working with verbs. We're going to talk about the different verbs that we get. And remember when I told you yesterday that we are going to do irregular verbs each day this week. And I have a few exercises at the end. Okay, so first things first, we are going to talk about different verbs. Okay, so guys, let me just get my, okay. If you are new, this is me. I'm your teacher. My name is Leandri, but I also go by Leah. That is my nickname. Okay, so okay. So when we are working with verbs, okay, we have an regular verb, an irregular verb, a linking verb, a transitive verb, an intransitive verb, a finite verb, and an infinite verb. Okay, so I think everybody knows what a regular verb is, and by this time, I think you know what an irregular verb is also. Okay, so we're going to just talk a little bit more about verbs. That is basically the theme of this week we're going to do in your classes. Okay, we are going to discuss, we are going to discuss verbs, different type of verbs. We're going to do exercises of verbs, and then we are going to do the regular verb Kahoot on Friday. Okay, so let's go to the first one. Regular verb. Okay, all of you know a verb is the doing word. Okay, it's the thing that's happening. Okay, so those verbs that form their past participle with d or ed are regular verbs. These verbs do not undergo big changes when changing between tenses. Okay, so here I have accept, accepted, accepted. Okay, or add, added, added. Okay, so a regular verb, that's the easy one. That is the basic form. It's when you put that verb in the past tense. Okay, it just gets a d or an ed at the back. Those are regular verbs. They don't have this big changes like begin, began, and begun. Nothing changes about the word. You basically put an d or an ed at the back and then it's past tense. That's how you know when you have a regular verb. That's when you're using a regular verb. Okay. Are all of you fine with regular verbs? I think this one is the easiest one that you get. Okay. Any questions about regular verbs? Like I said, this is a doing word. Okay. irregular verbs. That is what we are doing this week. Irregular verbs are when a word changes when you put it in past tense. It's when the verb completely becomes something different. Okay. Many verbs that we use in English is irregular. That means that they do not follow the pattern of the rules that regular verbs follow. Okay, so that means that rule, if we put this verb in the past tense, it gets an D or an ED at the back. An irregular verb doesn't follow that principle or that pattern. Okay, what happens is those words change if you have an irregular verb. Okay, we did this yesterday. This is just a small recap. Okay, like awake, awoke, awoken. Okay, and become, became, become. Begin, began, begun. Drink, drank, drunk. Okay, I'm going to unmute you, sorry, unmute you here.
I have to ask, since those verbs are different, does it mean that the verbs with consonants in them are regular verbs and those with vowels are irregular verbs?
No, no, that doesn't mean that. Like I said, an irregular verb you only get, or you know, when it's an irregular verb because it's something you learn. I have a complete list of the verbs that are irregular verbs at the end of this slideshow. Okay, we are going to discuss that at the end of this. Okay. Okay, linking verbs. Okay, this is something new. I think it's something that you already know about, but this is the first time I'm going to discuss this with you. Okay, so linking verbs connect the subject of a sentence with an adjective, a noun, or a descriptive phrase. Okay, they do not indicate an action in the sentence. Okay, they describe a state of being, a result, or one of the five senses. Okay. Remember, an important thing about a linking verb is that it does not have an object. Okay. Harold is sleeping. Is sleepy. Okay. That is an example of a linking verb. That is an example of a linking verb. This doesn't have an object. Do you understand this? Are all of you okay with a linking verb? Do you have any questions about a linking verb? Yeah, I'm going to unmute you. Okay, it's fine. If you're a little confused, I'm going to I'm going to explain to you this now. Okay, Kia? Yes.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
How are you, ma'am?
I'm fine, thanks. And you?
I'm good. Is a linking verb, is it like a sentence where there's no object? Or is it fine if the sentence has a object?
No, a linking verb doesn't have an object. A linking verb doesn't have an object.
Oh, so a sentence with a linking verb and a object is not, is it a right sentence?
You don't get a sentence with a linking verb with an object in it. Okay, it doesn't
Okay,
exist.
ma'am.
You can't get one. Okay, so that's what's important. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
It's a pleasure. Okay. What I want to explain to you here is I'm going to explain to you here that it's something like he is a monster. Okay, so that word is the linking verb, and a monster is still the subject. It's not an object. Okay. Are all of you with me with this? Okay, so this is basically when you have a verb in a sentence that there's no object in that sentence. Okay. This is not an auxiliary verb. An auxiliary verb is like a helping verb. An auxiliary, what I'm doing now, guys, I just want you to focus on me for 5 seconds. Don't put anything in the chat. Don't ask me a question. We are discussing real verbs. An auxiliary verb is not a verb. It's basically a helping verb. Okay. So it's not the same thing. A linking verb is still the verb. So what he is doing here, what Harold is doing, he is sleepy. Okay. Is a verb in its own right. Okay. But when we have a verb like is, that means that sentence doesn't have an object. Okay. Let me just see here. I'm just going to go to the next slide. Okay, are all of you fine with this? Okay, so it's not the same thing. An auxiliary verb is a helping verb. Yes, that's exactly what that is. A linking verb links this two subjects. Okay. Okay, I'm just struggling to go to the next slide. Okay, when we have a transitive verb, it needs an object. Okay, if we have a transitive verb, okay, it needs an object. I bought a bread. Okay, the transitive is I bought. You can't buy something. It needs to have an object. Okay, so the direct object here is the bread. So if we talk about a transitive verb, if you have a transitive verb like buy or bought, that means that this sentence has to have a direct object. There must be something that is being bought or something that is seen. Okay, do you understand this? If you have something like this sentence, I buy, and you don't have an object, then it's not a complete sentence. Okay, so transitive verb, if you have a transitive verb in a sentence, it needs to have an object. Okay, if you have a transitive verb in a sentence, it needs to have an object. Okay, next slide. I'm going to come back to this. Guys, we're going to go through this again, don't worry. We are going to do verbs the entire week. Okay, that's what I told you yesterday. We're going to do the different types of verbs. We're going to do the irregular verbs. This is important, okay? Because a verb is something that's the main thing in a sentence, okay? So, an intransitive verb can't have an object, okay? So, an intransitive verb can't have an object. It's like when I tell you the baby smiled or the car stopped. You can't have an object after an intransitive verb because you can't smell something, and the car can't stop something. Okay, are all of you with me with this? Any questions? Sorry. Any questions about these verbs? Okay, no questions. Okay. Okay. Infinite verbs. Okay. A verb which shows time or verb which shows a verb which shows time, or a verb which is limited by number, people, and gender of the subject is known as an infinite verb. Okay, like Sally writes books. They write letters. We have written books. Okay, so this verb, infinite verb, shows a verb which shows time, or a verb which is limited by number, person, and gender of the subject. Okay, guys, I'm going to go back to each slide. I'm going to go back to each slide at the end. Okay. Okay, so infinite verbs is a verb that does not show time, or a verb which is not limited by number, person, or tense of the subject. Like Rory tries to sing, we try to sing, or they try to sing. Okay, so that verb doesn't change, even if there's a different number of people. If I'm just going to go back to the infinite verbs. Okay, so Sally writes a book. Because Sally is just one person, okay, because Sally is just one person, that verb gets an S at the back. They write letters. Because they are more than one, the S is not there. And we have written books because the tense changes. Okay. Like the time, if I can tell you like that, if the time changes, then the verb changes. Okay, so that is an infinite verb. Okay, an infinite verb, it doesn't matter. Sing, stays, sings. Ronnie is one person. If one person sing, he just keep the word stays sing. We is more than one person. That means that word stays the same. And then they try to sing, that stays the same, because that verb doesn't change, even if the amount of people or the tense or time changes, that doesn't change. Okay. Okay, so those are the different verbs. We're going to go back to all of them. Let's just do the exercise first. Okay, so this verb or this exercise looks like this. What we're going to do is we are going to either put an ing at the back of the verb, or we are not going to put an ing at the back of the verb. For example, do you mind? Are you going to say help or helping me? Are you going to say help or helping me? Okay, here I have an answer.
Ma, hello?
Yes, I hear you.
The first one, ma'am, is do you mind helping me?
Yes, so we're going to put the ing at the back of that word. Do you mind helping me? Okay, so the next one. I promise to help or helping. No, don't do this on paper, just answer me. Okay, I think all of you can spell help or helping. Come. Okay.
Ma'am, if
Yes.
It's I promise to help you tomorrow.
Yes, I promise to help you tomorrow. Okay. I promise to help you tomorrow. Okay. Don't forget to bringing my book. Number 3. Number
Ma'am,
3.
it's don't forget to bring my book.
Don't forget to bring my book. Yes, so that stays the same. Don't forget to bring my book. Is he coming or come with us?
Ma'am, is he coming with us?
Is he coming with us? Yes, that is correct. Okay. Okay, so guys, since you didn't listen to me, I'm going to put your chats in private. Okay, so he enjoys have or having lunch with me. He enjoys have or having lunch with me.
Ma'am, the answer is having.
Yes, is having. That is correct. He enjoys having lunch
Ma'am, the
with me.
answer is having.
Yes, that is correct.
Ma'am,
That is, he enjoys having lunch with me. Okay, so the next one is I'm learning to speak or speaking Xhosa.
Ma'am, it is I am learning to speak Xhosa.
I am learning to speak. Yes, I'm learning to speak Xhosa. If the word was learn, then it would have been ing. Okay, so the next one. Wait, I don't like wait or waiting.
thank you, ma'am. The answer is I don't like waiting. No, I don't like to wait.
I don't like waiting. You were correct the first time. I don't like waiting. Okay. I don't think taking the bus is a good idea. I don't think take or taking the bus is a good idea. Hello?
Hello, ma'am. The answer is I don't think taking the bus is a good idea.
Yes, I don't think taking the bus is a good idea. That is correct. Thank you. Now, the next one. I don't want to go or going tonight.
I don't want to go tonight.
I don't want to go tonight. Yes, that is correct. Okay, and please let me leave or leaving.
Ma'am, it's please let me leave.
Please let me leave. That is correct. Thank you. Okay, so guys, this was an easy exercise, I think personally. This was a rather easy exercise. Now, I'm going to go to the first slide here again before we go to the irregular verbs. Like I said, I have a complete list of the irregular verbs. Okay, 7 different verbs that we work with is 1, a regular verb, 2, irregular verb, 3, linking verb, 4, transitive verb, 5, intransitive verb, 6, finite verb or 7 infinite verb. It can, number 7 can also be a non-finite verb, but that is just it's basically the same thing. Okay, guys, just please keep your videos off. Please keep your videos off. Okay. Any questions about any one of these? Any questions about any one of these? Anything that you're struggling with? I think if you compare like a regular and an irregular verb, then it makes sense to you. Like a regular verb it follows the rules that it gets an D on an ED when you put it in past tense. And here's the regular verb is easy. And then the irregular verb. Okay, the irregular verb is when it doesn't follow that rule. Okay, so I think when you struggle with identifying the different verbs, you go and you look at, okay, this is a regular verb, this is an irregular verb, and then you know the difference. Okay, any question about this? Any questions about this? Okay, I'm going to continue. Okay, so a linking verb is, okay, the regular, irregular verbs, those are the two easy ones. Linking verbs doesn't have an object. If you put it in a sentence, it's like, let me just give you a few examples of this, of linking verbs. It's like is, am, are, was, were. Okay, those are all linking verbs. Be, been, being, appears, feels, becomes, sees. She becomes pretty. Okay, she is a subject. Become is a linking verb. And then pretty is still the subject. Okay. Transitive verbs. It needs an object. Okay, so a transitive verb is something that needs an object. It's like buy. Buy is something that needs an object. You can't just buy. If you buy, you need to buy clothes, or you need to buy a bread, or you need to buy airtime, anything, but there needs to be a definite thing that you buy. Okay, so it needs a direct object. Okay, like another one is played. She played something. She either needs to play hockey or she needs to play the piano. Okay. Okay, so intransitive verb, it doesn't have a object because it's something like the car stopped. It doesn't have an object. Do all of you with me with this? Okay. A finite verb is a verb which shows a time or is limited by a number, person, or gender. This one is basic, that Sally, which is one person, writes a book. Okay, so that the word write, the verb write, gets an S because Sally is one person. Okay, now they, which is more than one person, write letters. There's no S because they are more than one person. So this is why it's an infinite verb, because the verb changes when there are more than one. Okay, so they write letters and we have written. The verb changes because it has a different time. It's something that happened. Okay, the last one, infinite verb, is a verb that does not show time, or a verb which is not changed by the number, the person, or the things of a subject. Okay, which is something like this. Ronnie tries to sing. Okay. Sing, Ronnie is just one person, but sing stays the same. We are more than one person, but there's no change in the verb. It doesn't matter if we are more than one person or if we are just one person, that stays the same. Okay. Just okay, let's do this exercise. Okay, if I tell you something like the moon to come out last night, this is a little exercise about irregular verbs. I don't know if you can see that. So the moon to come out last night. Which is the correct form of the verb there?
Hello?
Yes.
The moon will be coming out late last night.
No. Let's just look at the things. Okay, let's look at the things. The moon to come out late last night.
The moon came out late last night.
Yes. Okay, so that is past tense. It happened yesterday. Okay, so the moon came out last night. This is an exercise about irregular verbs, guys. Okay, so Jessica to lose her first tooth this morning. Jessica to lose her first tooth this morning.
Ma'am, Jessica lost her first tooth this morning.
Yes, Jessica lost her first tooth this morning. Okay, my entire family to catch the flu last winter. My entire family to catch the flu last winter.
Ma'am, I think the right answer is caught.
Yes,
my entire family caught the flu last winter.
Yes, that is correct. Like I said, when you do this, it's when the verb changes to past tense, but it changes completely. That's when you know it's an irregular verb. Okay, so the employees to do a lot of work today.
Ma'am,
Yes.
the employees did a lot of work today.
Yes, the employees did a lot of work today. Okay, the swimmers to hold their breath and jumped.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. And you?
Ma'am, I think the answer is the swimmers hold their breath and jumped in the water.
Okay, remember this is irregular verbs. So that verb changes completely. They don't just get a D or an ED at the back. So let's go to the next one. The swimmers to hold their breath and jumped in the water.
Ma'am,
Yes.
the swimmers had to hold their breaths and jumped into the water.
Okay. This one, no, it's also incorrect. That is just the past tense. It's not, you don't put anything else with the hold. It's just to put hold in the past tense. Okay. Michael.
Ma'am, the swimmers held their breath and jumped into the water,
Yes, the swimmers held their breath and jumped in the water. Okay, now the baker to make a cake for my birthday. The baker
Hello,
to
ma'am.
make. Hello.
The baker made a cake for my birthday.
The baker made a cake for my birthday. Yes, that is correct. Thank you. Okay. They to take a picture of the mountain. They to take a picture of the mountain.
Ma'am, it's they took a picture of the mountain.
Yes, they took a picture of the mountain. That is correct. Thank you. Okay. Okay. The teacher to teach the students chemistry last year. The teacher to teach the students chemistry last year.
The teacher taught the students chemistry last year.
Yes, that is correct. Thank you. Okay. I to wear my jacket to work yesterday.
I wore my jacket to work yesterday.
Yes. I wore my jacket to work yesterday. Okay. We to go to the zoo last weekend. We to go to the zoo last weekend.
Ma'am, we went to the zoo last weekend.
Yes, we went to the zoo last weekend. Tom to write his family a letter. Tom to write his family a letter.
Tom wrote his family a letter.
Yes, Tom wrote his family a letter. Okay, I to see a movie last night. I to see a movie last night.
I saw a movie last night.
Yes, that is correct. Thank you. Okay, so I saw a movie last night. Let's see here. Okay. Let's go to the next slide. Okay. Now, what we're going to do here is you're going to tell me her arm or is to break. Okay, I'm going to do the first one for you so you can see. Okay, so her arm is broken. Her arm is broken. Her arm is broken.
The old man is the old man is drinking.
Okay, we are going to do, this is also irregular verbs. So what is the irregular verb of drink?
The old man drank.
Okay, so the old man is drank, or drank, am drank, or is it is drunk, or am drunk, or are drunk? Okay, guys, let me explain to you like this. Okay, yeah, I have is drunk. Okay, so the old man, if you go, it needs to have am, are, or is in the sentence. Okay, so it needs to have an am, are, or is in the sentence, and then you go and put in the correct form of the verb. Okay, so remember when we are looking at am, are, or is, when do we use which one? I think that is important to look at. before we continue this. Okay, so if we use am, is, and are, okay, so if we use that, when do we use which one? When do we use which one? Okay, so if we are one, if it's one person, okay, we always use is. We always use is. If it is more than one, it's always are. But if you have I do something. I am broken. I am swollen. Okay. So the first thing is we use am when it's just I. We use are when it's more than one person. And then we use is when it's just one person. Okay. Are all of you fine with that? Okay. Are all of you fine with that?
Our house key is hidden in the bushes.
Yes, our house key is hidden in the bushes. Our house key is hidden in the bushes. Our house key is hidden in the bushes. I don't know what's happening here. Sorry guys, let me just see. Something happened to my slideshow. Let's just see here. Like I said, I'm so sorry. Something happened to my slideshow. Oh, no, it doesn't want to open. Okay. So guys, we will continue this tomorrow. This is also we will continue this tomorrow and then we will discuss it further.